Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the live stream, which is the Untitled School of Mediumship. I am Danielle, better known as Danielle, a happy medium for those who do not know me out there in the industry. If you're watching this stream, it's a pleasure to have you here with me once again. Good evening to Christine, first out the trap. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us last night in class. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me just push my bum a little bit back into that so you can cross my legs. And I'll certainly do my very best this evening to answer your questions on mediumship. So, like I say, for anybody who doesn't know me, I am Danielle. If you're watching this as in the live stream, or if you should come across it in future reference, certainly do check out my website, which is www.theoddbodschoolofmediumship.com. Now, this evening, I want to know if it sounds well, so let me know, ladies. If the sound is good compared to last week. I'm really hoping that I have improved the sound as I've been fiddling as you do. Let me know how the picture is. Let me know how that looks for you, and then we can certainly crack on from there. We can certainly push on, and we can certainly see how it is for you lot. And then for me personally, then it sounds better. And then if I need to faff with it a bit more or fiddle with it a little bit more, I certainly can. Yes, fab. Oh, great stuff, Sue. I'm over the moon. Because I've been getting some new bits of equipment, and next week it's going to look completely different again. So next week we're going to be using a lot more of the whiteboard. So you're not going to be seeing not only, we're going to go a bit back to like how I used to do the streams about maybe a year and a half ago, which is allowing us to use not only me talking, but also opportunities. You have red eyes, says Hazel. It'll just be the eyeshadow man, Hazel. That's what that'll be. Unless I'm angry, but I don't think I'm not in an angry place. Like, I've got to be honest, I'm in a good place. It might just be the eyeshadow, Hazel. That might be what it is. Let me know. Sounds good here. Thank the Lord Jesus for that. I've got to be honest, because that sound has drove me absolutely crackers. I've got to be honest. So yes, and we're going to be, you're going to see a completely different setup next week. As you can probably see, there's stuff starting to go on behind the back of me. That will continue to grow every week as we continue to do more and more lives. So a few of you are starting to join. Could I ask that you like the video? The reason being, YouTube picks that up as an algorithm, so the more likes it gets, the more people get to see it. So if you could certainly like this video or this live stream, that certainly helps the video in the algorithm of YouTube. But if you're not, I understand, and that's absolutely fine also. So let me just check in with a couple of you who've already joined. So Christine's in, Sue's in. Good evening, Sue. Bailey Boy's in. David Parker says, sorry for being late. Sorry, David. Amanda's in. I'd prefer if you just stay for this whole duration. Rachel's in. Saying, Rachel, great stuff. Vicky's in. Hello, Vicky. I haven't gotten to you, but I will get to you at some point. I do promise you. But yes, thank you very much for all joining me. It's a pleasure. Tonight we're going to talk about mediumship development. If I get opportunity, I will also use the whiteboard also. So if you don't quite understand something, or I feel it can be given to you in another way, then I will certainly do that this evening. You'll have to watch out for my legs. You've got a red glow. You've been eating ready break. You were listening class, weren't you, Rachel? That's what you were doing. But yeah, thank you very much for that, Hazel. I appreciate that immensely. Anyway, it may need a little bit of faffing. It's only just come the day. So, and I've been very busy with other things in regards to life is the best way I can put it. So thank you very much for all of you joining. If you could be so kind as to share to your Facebook, that also helps with the growth of the channel as well. But if you don't, I understand also. So tonight, like I say, is an opportunity for you to talk about any burning question you have in regards to mediumship, your development, spirituality as well, the psychic parameters. It's not just sort of, you know, one set rule here. It's an opportunity for you to talk to me and ask me, you know, what I think. I categorically tell you here and now, I don't know everything, and I never will know everything, because I'm always learning and growing myself. but I will always try to give you it from the biggest viewpoint lens that I have. For many of you who've maybe watched me for a long time now, I'm not a great fan on opinions. I'm more on understanding the facts, and the facts that help you to build some kind of understanding with the spiritual world. For me, as I always say, opinions are what you like and dislike, which is not always helpful sometimes within mediumship, because ultimately you're always going to get many different viewpoints. So I try to bring my awareness from a development perspective and also from a bigger viewpoint of the spiritual world also. So that is a little bit about obviously what's going to happen this evening. You're now open, as many of you are in the chat, to write any questions you would like to write. If you can stay for 20 minutes, half an hour, great. If you can stay for the whole duration, that's even better, I've got to be honest. Thank you for telling me that the sound is really good, and I know there's some problems still with the imagery, but we can certainly take a look at that, can't we? Anyway, so Bailey Boy's in first off the bat. Let's have a look. One day, when things slow down, I'm going to write to you a very long list of all the wonderful things you have brought into my life through your teaching and readings. Thank you very much. Oh, do you know, it's really funny because somebody else got in touch with me last night via email, one of my students, and I think she's on here this evening, but I won't mention any names. And my student said the self-same thing. She been in mediumship for about 30 years. And I don't progress to know everything, and I always say that to people. And I do my development with the best of intention and always from the heart, because I genuinely I am committed to the next generation of mediums. And what I like to see good evidence, I like to see good development, you know, all of these types of things. So for me, you know, this lady herself said that she'd been in the mediumship movement for around about 30 years, and nobody had just explained this thing that I explained last night, which is probably one of the most simplest of, you know, understandings. And I think this is sometimes where mediums get a little confused. The mediums have this great thing that they need, like all this development for evidence and things like that. Really all you need to develop is the blend and the shift of the mind, and ultimately the rest of it will sort of fall into place, you know, either through development with the spirit world or through development with people. But if you can sort of get them two things into place, you know, very early on in your development, you're never going to go far wrong. And for me personally, it's always it's a great privilege as a woman who shares knowledge, and that's what I call myself, a lady who shares knowledge. I'm not a teacher, I'm not a tutor, I'm not a mentor, I'm just somebody who shares my awareness with other people, free, paid, unpaid. Like, you know, I do scholarships, you know, I do a lot of free stuff as well as paid stuff. And so for me personally, it's always a great honour when I share some of my knowledge with people and they get a bigger awareness of their own understanding, and they get a bigger awareness of their development, and through their development, because of something that I shared with them, it has helped them to move forward, even if it's just a very small amount. But I greatly appreciate and certainly value your comments, so thank you very much for that, Bailey Boy. And it's a pleasure. I've had you in my class a couple of times, I think not this year but definitely last year. You know, it's always been a pleasure to have you there, so hopefully I'll see you return here at some point. I know you've been very busy out there in the US, so take care, and thank you very, very much for your comment. Rachel's in saying, you sound perfect. Thank you, Rachel. Vicky saying, need bother, just when you have time. I'll get you at some point. I will, Vicky. It's just been quite manic lately, been really manic. Nicola's in. Hello, Nicola, darling. How? I'm so happy for this live. Great stuff. So Nicola's asking me a sensitive question. Okay, I'll answer it to the very best of my ability. We'll see where we go from that one. Can a baby that did not make a full term 3 to 3 months digester come through from the spirit world? Yes. Now, many people will disagree with that. I'm okay with this one. This one comes from something that I have done. I've done over the years of my development. I have done an awful lot of children, from miscarriages to children who've been lost in other ways, to children who have been born asleep, to children who have been lost at different terms within the pregnancies. And I've also done a lot of children who have then gone on to live some adult life, only a child's life, whatever it may be. So I have a real great awareness and a great knowledge on children in the spirit world, and also have great connections with them because of some of the things that have gone on within my own life. So in answer to your question, Nicola, yes is the answer to your question. And what we have to appreciate is, and I think when we start to understand the intelligence, many of us talk about the spiritual intelligence, whether it be logical or whether it be emotional intelligence. A lot of mediums don't quite understand what they're working with. You don't sort of get a understanding of that spiritual awareness and that spiritual intelligence. Now, as soon as something is created, whether as soon as it is created, it becomes intelligent. It depends on the level of intelligence. It also has a level of understanding. So right from the minute of conception for humans, it has a level of intelligence. It's beating, it's moving, it has an awareness. Now, it may be a very little awareness, but it still has an awareness. For example, plants have an awareness, even if only a limited amount of awareness or intelligence. The same with organisms, with cell regeneration, stem cells, anything that you want to, anything that's beating, anything that is living, as in breathing, moving, has a intelligence in whatever capacity. So when we move that over to children, we have that soul within the spirit world has intelligence. It may have a limited amount of intelligence, but an intelligence all of the same. Now you may, and this is another way we can look at it, I like to give a couple of different pointers on this one, Nicola. We can actually tap into that energy. I put this to a lot of my students in a class I did. It was animals, and I do a lot of animal classes within my training. We look at an animal and it doesn't speak, yet we Right. I'll have a look at that in a minute, Rachel. We have animals, but they don't speak. They speak with the use of what we call intelligence of energy, through an emotional awareness, through a facial expression, through eyes, through different ways. And the intelligence of communication is very different. When we flip that over to the spirit world, and when we start looking at communications as if we were communicating with animals, you become very aware. In the spirit world, they don't use words. They didn't use pictures. They use vibration. So they're using and reading vibrational awarenesses, intelligences, whichever terminology you want to sort of put on there. So when we start to look at communications like that, you'll find that what happens is you become very aware that you can tap into an intelligence as small as it is and give that off. But what we can then also add is add another element to it. So we can add a adult to it. So a grandfather, a mother, a brother, a sister, whatever it is within the spiritual community, within the spiritual realms. And we can actually ask them to help us also and get them to sort of work with us to give over that communication. So we actually have two elements there, Nicola, that we could use. You can actually do the child or read the intelligence of the child, but also read the intelligence using the grandparent. Most people, because of either a lack of practice or a lack of not having enough database for children, will probably use the adult. Them who work more profoundly with children or have more relevant point of reference or database, or are striving to build the database or their awareness, will look to try and use that intelligence of the child. My advice here is use the intelligence of the child and only use the adult if you've got to. But that's just my parameters. Many will disagree. I appreciate that. But I understand that some will also want to try that as well. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there for you, Nicola, and let me know. Sandra Hall saying, hiya Danielle. Hello Sandra. Louise saying, you're a wonderful tutor and you should be really proud of what you've achieved so far, as you deserve so much more, and I'm grateful for the knowledge you've taught me in classes. Oh, that's very nice of you. Thanks, Louise. I'm very honoured that you know, I didn't see it like that. I just see it as doing my bit for the spirit world, you know, doing what I need to do in order to help the next generation. But I always appreciate and welcome your feedback. This, you know, I appreciate that not everybody's going to see it from them parameters, and that's okay. I accept I'm not for everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But, you know, I certainly, you know, I do endeavour to try and filter the work to to every mind, but I appreciate not every mind's going to accept that. So, but I honestly, I'm very humbled by your very nice words. Thank you. Anyway, Sue saying, I love what you do. Watch loads of your videos, and yes, you make it. You make it so simple to connect the spirit. I always said, and I've said this for a long time, you know, spirit world's common sense savvy. It doesn't need the bells and whistles. It doesn't need all the faffing in the little ribbons and this, that, and the other. Spirit world have been doing communications and before mankind got involved in it, you know, like to where it's so accessible now. You know, communications have been going on for millions of years, and I have no doubt that they've got it nailed down to such a fine art over years of you know, practice and different minds, and you know, and I think they're always encouraging us to look at things always from a different parameters. But I trust implicitly in the communications in the spirit world and the knowledge and the information that's come through, and I just know that they'll never let us down. They'll never let me down anyway. They'll never let any of us down, including my loved ones over there. But I'm very humbled that you're all saying this. I'm quite touched, actually. Thank you very much. Info worship your body. It says, hi you. Hello. I worship your body. Every time I read that, it makes me giggle. I've got to be honest. Nicola saying, thank you. Not a problem, Nicola. Not a problem at all. Brandy Lynn's in. Hello, Brandy. Nice to have you here. Rachel saying, I still cannot manage with moving the eyes side to side. I just look cross-eyed, but we'll keep trying. So you're talking about the shift of the mind. So for me, it's a big thing. It's a big thing for any medium who's working in the industry. To be able to find that shift through not closing their eyes. I had a student last year who, you know, she was on a general, she wasn't a general mentorship, Danielle, that's not telling the truth. She was on a full year's mentorship, that was what she was on. And, you know, she was a medium who very much closed her eyes, couldn't sort of look like a person in front of them to face, and you know, because of that, she struggled really hard. And I say this to all mediums: if we're going to do it professionally, and especially in the industry or out there in the movement, you've got to be prepared to find that shift. You've got to be able to move back and forth from the spirit world and hold that blend. Everything else will drop into place. You don't look cockeyed, Rachel. You just probably think you do. You know, you probably just think that's your awareness of it. But actually, it doesn't look like that at all when I watch it. It just looks like you're looking for the spirit world. But you know, everybody's gonna say it differently. And everybody, when I get a mind to do something that's very different to what it's been very used to, the human inside of them goes, I don't like that, I don't understand that, why are you doing that? So when I explain it and we explore it, and then we get some expectations of what's at the end of it, then it tends to be a lot easier. And you will find as you go further along that it's not that bad, Rachel, honestly, I promise you. If it was that bad, I'd tell you it was that bad. Anyway, thank you for that. Rachel, and sorry, Nicholas saying, yes, the child came through of a friend, very clear, thank you. I think it's how, with anything like that, it's how much your mind's going to allow, how much your mind's going to accept, how much your mind is prepared to look outside of the box, basically. If you're prepared to push them parameters and push them boundaries, then there's always room for growth. That's the way I look at it. So I always try to nail for the hardest bit first, which that technique is the one I would say was the hardest. If you can get that sort of in a place where you can work that and do that, you're never gonna come far wrong, like, I've got to be honest. But there's always the backup of other intelligences within the spirit world which will assist you also. So I wish you the best of luck with that one. Bailey Boy saying, I had a visitation from a woman. She let me see her in my mind. Yep. For about 5 minutes. Ooh, okay. Next day, you know, I'm a great believer that, and again, sort of going back to what we were talking about was the intelligence. You know, the spirit world's kind of clued up. They're very smart. They know what it is that they're doing. They're not sort of silly billies over there. Do you know what I mean? They know where they need to be on a night of mediumship. They know who they want to be with. They know what evidence needs to be produced. I say this to my students all the time. When you start working within them intelligences and you understand them intelligence, you find your development, goes a lot quicker and a lot easier. It sort of works for you. You start working within the parameters of which is the spirit world. You start working with the good stuff. You start working not the things that you think are important. You start working with what the spirit world thinks is important in order to, one, move your development forward, two, to get the communication over, three, to get the evidence over, four, to then pull out. And many of you, I love my students. I love them all. I love some that's gone, some who's still with me, some who continue to come forward. A lot of them are very sort of in control. I say to them, you've got your hands on the reins like this. You're like, do you know what I mean? And you so want to steer that communication where you think it needs to be, instead of just trusting in the intelligence that you're working with and allowing them to speak the things. This is what I keep saying to mediums. Your job is to basically find your shift, hold your blend, move your mouth. That's it. That's it. You don't need to do anything more than that. And if you work within that intelligence, what tends to happen is that they will give you every bit of that information that you're looking for, from them names to them addresses to them telephone numbers to conditions and passings and all of these types of things. And I strive so hard to get you students to understand that, and a lot of that just comes with trust in the spirit world. Trust that they're never going to let you down, and that once you found your shift, you holding the blend, you're in the same place every time. You kind of gone far wrong. Like, I gotta be honest, they're incredibly intelligent people, the spirit world, not only bounded by love, but also bound by the proof to show that life continues after this life. So I certainly hope that answers your question. The intelligent people, Bailey boy, yeah, she didn't know. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes, people say to me, why spirit world has intelligence, so therefore they always have to answer you. Yes, that's right to a degree, and I agree with that. But sometimes the spirit world just want to be there. They don't want to say anything. They don't want to do anything. They just want to make their presence available and aware that, and for them it's an experience, especially for sort of communicators who maybe haven't worked with a mind before. Sometimes they just want to make themselves aware. They just sort of want to experience it. It's an experiment, as they say, the spirit world. Every communication is an experiment. So, for them, it may just be that they're becoming aware with you. They just want to see how your mind works, so that when they feel the time is right, they'll do the communications or use their intelligence in order to get over to their loved ones. It's an honor and it's a blessing for any of us who have any contact with the spirit world, whether it be through development, spiritual philosophy, trance, dreams of loved ones, readings, psychic readings, whatever it may be. It's an honor, it's a privilege, it's something that we all are capable of doing. And I think I spoke about this last week. It's certainly right, I'll answer your question in a minute, Ben. So for me, it's a great honor and a privilege, but everybody has that ability to do something with the spirit world in whatever capacity. I love the spirit world. I've got to answer Bailey boy. Abby's in, my Abby. Hello, Abby, darling. You're only doing stairs. I'll keep practicing. Yes, Rachel, keep practicing. Hello, Marie. It's nice to have you in. You answer questions so thoroughly. It's amazing. Thanks, Abby. Margie's in. Hiya, Margie. Thoroughly, yeah, that's what you get. You should learn to spell properly, Abigail. Can you explain the eye moving a little bit more? I think I already do it, but I want some more clarification. Thank you. You're the best. So, what do you mean by that? So, the shift of the mind. So, the shift of the mind. What you have to do is you have to become aware of you, I have an awareness video on YouTube, so you should check it out. You have to become aware of you and what you feel like. And then what you have to do is either with your eyes or with your mind, you have to start and move your mind. So you maybe start shifting it to the left, to the right, up, down, till something starts to change. So there's a change in a feeling. Now, most people connect with a clairvoyant link or with a clairsentience. That's where most of you are going to go. Some of you may go clairaudient, but the majority of you are going to be clairsentience or clairvoyancy. And then what you do is you start to become aware of either a feeling of something that wasn't there before. So you already were aware prior. This is me. I haven't moved my mind. I haven't done anything. So this is what I feel like as the instrument. What you then do is you start to move your mind. So you move your eyes around. You start to feel it. At first you may have to do it with your eyes closed, but I would recommend that you try to do it with your eyes open, because if you start doing it with your eyes closed, you've then got to take that out, put that in. So best off just go with the eyes first. So you're just looking for a small sort of movement of a feeling. It may be that you feel a shift, a small haze may come across your eyes or inside of your mind, or you may smell a smell that wasn't there before. That's the shift. You've then hit the spirit world. You can then give it a bit of oomph with your attention. So before you start moving your eyes around and you've just been sitting with you can say in your mind, right, I'm going to go to the spirit world, and start moving your eyes around, and then you're going to start and feel that change. You're going to see that change. You may hear that change. You might smell that change. That's it. You're there. Bob's your uncle. Now we're away. Your job now is to stay there. Not to drop back, because if you drop back, you're going to drop back into the psychic awareness. You didn't want to be in there. You need to stay here. What lots of mediums do is get there, but then drop back, or drop halfway. So they're sitting in between the spirit world and the psychic world. Once we get you to shift, we need you to stay there. So that's where you're holding the blend. You're holding on to the spirit world. Then what happens is you shout for a communicator. Don't change. Stay there. What you have to do is they'll start to map around the mind. You then just start talking whatever it is you see, feel, or hear. That's it. When you're finished, you tell the person in front of you or behind you or at the side, right, thank you very much, ta-ra, next one forward. And you just hold that connection all the time. If you can't see them things, or you can't sense them things, or you can't feel them things, or whatever, you've dropped your blend, you've dropped your link. You need to go back to the spirit world. You need to go back to that place. And once you find that place and you recognize it, that's it. You've made it. And that's what lots of mediums are hunting for. They think they're doing something. Does that make sense? People think like there's something quite weird about it, but actually it's the easiest thing to find. And once you find it, it's just about holding it. And you've got to, when you're doing demonstrations or sittings, making sure you're just staying there. You're just holding on, letting the spirit world talk, and you're speaking. That's the easiest way to get in the habit. Then get in the habit of talking for the spirit world. Just whatever comes, speak it. Whatever comes, speak it. Speak, 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 speak. Fully understand. Good. I'm pleased. Thank you very much. Alex is in, so I hope I answered your question for you there. Abby's thinking, I've answered Brandy's. Bailey Boys, she didn't say a word. Yep, we've just tossed that. Yes, I felt like she just wanted to make me aware. Yeah, a lot of them do. A lot of them do. Right. Back to word for me. We'll watch on replay. Okay, Nicola, have a great day, my darling. So Ben plays gaming. What would be the reason behind not being able to feel the shift? You just receive messages and not knowing how you do it. For me personally, you've got to be careful there, Ben, that's not coming on your own intuition. That's not coming in through you reading this world. My advice to you would be, if you can't feel the shift, look for the shift. If you can't look for it, hear it. If you can't hear it, smell it. I've just explained that more or less to Brandy, so I would say that's probably going to help you, Ben, as well. If not, ask me more. I'll certainly look to help you a little bit more with that one. Angela's in. Hello, Angela, from Bonnie, Spain. How is it out there? I hope you are all well and keeping okay. It's a pleasure to have you here. Mar's in. Hello, Mar from last week. Nice to see you. Right. So how do you deal with people's pain? I'm a Reiki healer and psychic, and I frequently feel people's physical and mental pain. It's overwhelming. So we've got a bit of clear empathy going on. So what you're telling me is that you're highly, what I would call, emotionally intelligent. So there's a lot of emotional intelligence going on within you. You're aware of your own emotions, and you also know how to tap into them very well, and you also understand them very well. What I would recommend there, hello Del darling, big kisses to you, sweetheart. What I would recommend to you there, for me personally, is you've got to get some boundaries in place. So you've got to be able to be emotionally aware but not get involved. So a big lesson I learned in the last 3 years is that I used to say lots of things, and lots of things used to happen that used to get right on my nerves, right? And I mean it, like right on my nerves. And I had to learn to be aware but not to engage. And that's the same thing I want to say to you, Ma. And it's the same probably with anybody who's in mediumship. You have the ability to be aware but not to get involved. So you've got to learn to have, you stand at the line but you don't cross the line. You don't sort of move out of your lane, if this makes sense. So what you need to do is recognize as an individual that you are maybe overstepping your own personal boundaries. You are stepping probably over or over giving or overstretching into them particular areas. So what you have to do is step back. You can still engage with the client. You can still engage with the spiritual community. You can still engage with the people who don't do you good things, but you don't have to interact. You don't have to become aware. You don't have to allow them into this space. This space is mine. That space is yours. Yes, you can come up to my space, but you can't come into my space unless I let you, if that makes sense. So what it's telling me is that there needs to be more of awareness of your personal space and how much you are overstepping your own personal space and what you're allowing other people to push into your personal space. Because I'm in control of this space, they're in control of their space. People who aren't disciplined with their energy or disciplined with their mind or disciplined with their boundaries and their sort of lane discipline, what will happen is they will push over into people whose boundaries, disciplines, if them people theirs aren't as strong as theirs, they will leak over into you, and vice versa, you will leak over into them. So what I would recommend to you is become more aware of your personal space, where your boundaries are, and when people push upon them, you are aware of it, but you just go, no, I don't need to take that on. I'm aware of it and I know it's there. I don't need to allow that to leak into my energy field. And it's probably one of the biggest things I would recommend, not only to the medium, but also to anybody, is to become very aware of your personal boundaries and be very aware of your energy and what you're allowing in and what you're not allowing in, who you're allowing in your space and who you're not, who's good for you and who's not good for you. Sometimes you're never going to catch that, and the reason being there's an experience or a learning curve there. But in answer to the work related or with the mediumship parameters or energy parameters, there needs to be more awareness of your personal energy and less acceptance and more just awareness, if you can accept that. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there, more for you. Not a problem, Brandy. Nicola's gone back to work. Good explanation. Thank you, Ben, darling. Alex Stuff said, did a communication and the spirit could not be placed with the sitter, so I had to ask for someone else to step forward. Does that mean it was a helper or a guide? Right, so tell me a little bit more about that. So did you, Alex, write that communication down before you went in? Did you write any of it down as you were in the room? Or did you just get that loved one when you were in the room? Let me know in the comments box below, Alex, alright? Del Boy's saying, good evening, soul sister. Good evening, Del. Rachel saying, fantastic explanation. Is this why it's mental medium? Because it's mental planed aside in the aura? Well, I don't believe that the spirit world's touching the aura. Again, I think I've explained the reasons as to why. No, it's because you are the instrument. They are using your database. They are using you. So therefore, it is always going to have an element of your mental capacity because it's your mind. It's your use of your mental capacity. So I hope that answers your question a little bit there. Angela saying, yes, fine, but shifting to be a new apartment, finally settled in, waiting full intern to be put in a finally room. Oh, very nice. Congratulations on the move. Let me know how things go out there for you. Del saying, when I start working with spirit and shift my mind, I start feeling hot body. It's like you have something on your face. Right. For me personally, and this is something I hear quite a lot, and again, I can't say whether it's right, wrong, and different. I'm only talking from my personal viewpoint. The minute I start going get red hot or like that type of thing is normally a big indicator to me that there's something touching upon my aurical field. It's normally that for me, it's an awareness of this world. The spirit world for me never makes me hot, nor do they make me cold. It normally is a big indicator for me that there's somebody either pushing on my aurical field or there's something outside of my aurical field that's trying to get my attention, which goes back to Mars' question. So it's an indicator for me in my, now that's what I have put to Adele. I'm not saying that that's right. I'm just saying that that's my awareness. Yours could be that, but in all honesty, the spirit world's got no need to make it red hot. You know what I mean? Because they're using your mind. They're not using your body. So, but again, that could be a personal thing for you. But I would say for me, that tells me that I've got somebody outside of my auric field, or there's garbage sitting outside of my auric field that's trying to get my awareness, because as soon as I give awareness to it, it drops in. So I can be aware of it, but I can then push it away. So I just push it away like that. My advice would be to have a chat with the spirit world and ask your team, one, is it coming from the spirit world or is it coming from the human world? That would be my first question, first and foremost, before I do anything more there. I would need to know the answer to that one, Del. Vicky's saying, how many guides does one person have at one time? Me personally, you don't need a great deal. You can have anybody, I suppose. You can have as many as you want, I suppose, depending on, you know, how much your mind's allowing, how much your mind's accepting, etc., etc., etc. But I will always say this to people: the more guides, the more you've got to manage. The more you've got to manage, the more you've got to understand. The more you've got to give time to it, the more you've got to become aware of each and every guide through a different energy awareness, different clairvoyant link, different clairaudience link, clairsentience link. My advice to you, I've had massive teams at one time with 7 to 8 guides in it, and then I've had teams where I've only had 1, and then I've had teams where I've had 5. It all depends. For me personally, at the moment, I have 1 who I work predominantly with. I've spoke about them quite heavily here on the channel. I have some others who sit in the background, and I don't sort of talk about them ones for all the reasons that I feel I don't need to. It's a personal preference, that one, Vicky. I've got to be honest. Misha's asking, what is the most impactful insight you have learned regarding mediumship? Me, trust. Categorically, 155%, Misha, in every way, shape and form. Trust. Trust in the intelligence, trust in the spirit world, believe in them, always know that they'll never let you down. And that will always be my biggest impact insight from learning from the spirit world. And that came through, I used to give information that couldn't be taken in the room. And a lot of people scoff at that and go, ooh, you know, don't do that, it's not proven intelligence. You know, I've heard every side of the coin. And, you know, for me, people used to come back to us and go, you'll never believe it's right. And like, rah, 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 rah. And that sort of built my trust with the spirit world, that I give it even if I didn't even, it couldn't be taken. And it grew my intelligence. It sort of grew my trust in the spirit world, that they know exactly what they're talking about. They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how it is it's meant to be. In that, when you as the medium just allow and trust and accept, will you find that the rest of it just falls into place. The rest of it will just come along that journey as it's meant to come, if that makes sense to yourself. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question. I'll be there for you, Misha. Alex says, I got the love one while in the room. It's Lindsay C. Oh, right. By the way, I'm with you. Right. So the reason, my advice to you would be, is to make sure you've got your mind over there completely. Make sure that you found your shift, you're holding your blend, and then look for the spirit world. I think I've done a video on this as well, looking for the spirit world, or wait for the spirit world it's called actually. Many mediums, this is what you do, bless your little hearts, and I appreciate why you do this, because you appreciate that you're getting nervous and you get a little worried. What you do is because you're in a room full of other students, or you're in an open circle, or you're with a client, or whatever scenario we've got to go on there. What you do is you'll think you've moved your mind, you think you've got to hold your blend, and you'll jump straight out on that psychic link. And then what you do is you jump straight into the aura instead of waiting. So with the technique that I've given you, it's a bit like a 3-step. Find the shift, hold the blend, wait for the spirit world. Wait for that communicator. So whether you see them, whether you feel them, whether you hear them, because if you become aware of your shift and you're holding that and you know what that feels like, you're going to become aware straight away of somebody else being there. So you might see the person walking towards you, you might feel you changing. So for example, you may feel that condition come upon you, you might start to get a bad head that wasn't there when you were here. So I always say to people, wait for the spirit world. What seems like a lifetime to you lot actually isn't a lifetime at all. It's only about 3 to 5 seconds for you to be able to connect. You think that, because it's quiet, the fear kicks in. You're like, oh my God, I need to get it done. I need to get it done. I need to find them. I need to find them. I need to find them. And what you have to do, and what you then do is you start to push your mind out the spirit world. When you start doing that, you start to weaken and move away from them. So my advice to you is just wait. Be patient. Wait for the feelings, wait for the imagery, wait for that, and then start. Don't start until you've got that loved one with you. Another technique I can give you is move the spirit world round. Okay, no problem. Another one is move the spirit world round. If you're not happy with the side in which that the spirit world's coming in, so maybe they're coming in from the back, and you're like, okay, why don't you flip them round and ask them to start coming in from the front? Get a different viewpoint, get a different look at it, have a different experience. Yeah, there's lots of different things you can do. You don't have to always do it this one said way. It's all about trial and error. It's an experience, remember. You're learning. I'm still learning. There's stuff I've just getting something new myself today, but that's more for training. But my development has always been tweaked. I'm always trying something else, from a different style of communicator to a different way of doing that communication, to what else can I get in these communications while I'm working for the spirit world, holding my brand, allowing them to work with my mind. How can I get a deeper awareness of a more, evidential viewpoint from the spirit world, not from my viewpoint, from their viewpoint. So I'm always learning and growing as well. So my answer to you is always be tweaking, moving and altering it in order to grow in every capacity. Plus it builds a clear range, plus it allows you, more depth of different types of communicational skill sets, or communicators who are coming from the spirit world. The advantages are amazing, if that makes sense. So I hope I answered your question a little bit there for you. Marcin, I'm always freezing. Again, I'll be asking myself the question, is that mine, or does that belong to the spirit world? Or is that some human somewhere? That would be my answer to all them. They're the 3 questions. The minute I know my energy really well, I know it, I sit in it a lot, I work with it a lot. I also know my connection to the spirit world very well as well. So I have discipline in both areas. So when something doesn't feel right, or something's changed, I have to, ask myself the question, what have I been thinking about? So what have I drawn to me? So I have to check in with that. 2, I then have to check in to see, is that mine? Is it somebody else's outside of the oracle field? Or have I moved my mind over the spirit world because I've been working with the spirit world, or I've thought about the spirit world, or I've been reading a book about the spirit world, whatever it may be there. So the first thing you should be doing is making sure that you know this energy of yours, then know your shift. Anything else in between, once you know them, anything in between you have to ask, has it come from you because of what you thought, or what you've read, or what you've done? Have you moved your mind to the spirit world by accident and you haven't realised? Or 2, is it something else? You got to ask yourself them questions. We live in a world where we have many, many humans who all think quite negatively, and that's not having a pop at anybody or having a go at anybody, but you have a lot of humans who aren't in a good place right now, who don't understand the discipline of energy or understand the awareness of energy. We have at an advantage as medium, sensitive, psychics, healers. We're working with a frequency that is available to us, but not all of the humans out there understand the frequency and understand that awareness. It isn't your fault, but it's always important, because we are aware. We are always aware of the things that may be there that are not ours. It is your responsibility not to allow them things in. It is your responsibility to be aware of it, but just not to accept it. I think you need to go in and ask some questions, people. I hope I answered the question. I got the tingles when he said that. Well, my answer to people is not everybody's checking them things. They're not checking, their oracle fields. They're not checking, their awareness of the spirit world, and it's a great added advantage to you, because you can monitor what's moving in and out of your auric field. You can monitor what's going on around and about you, and all you're doing is monitoring. You just don't accept it in. So I hope I answered the question. I get what I get every time. I give what I get. Yes, that's an important thing. Ben's saying it's Rachel. She says Rachel has somebody else's account. So I'm going to have a drink of this water while I wait for a few of you to give a few more questions. In the meantime, while I'm just waiting for a couple more questions, I'll talk a little bit about the training that's available. So we have 2 new classes coming in, which is in April and May. Both are 6 weeks. All are all levels. This is for a duration of 6 weeks, covering multifaceted topics within them 6-week classes. Information can be sought at www.the School of Mediumship. It is actually running along the screen as we speak. Further to that, we have most of them have only got a couple of spaces on or left. So if you're interested, then certainly do take a look at that. We have a couple of mentoring going on. So we have the beginners mentoring and also the general mentoring as well, for those who maybe want to see a bigger, deeper development within their mediumship. Again, very limited space on them, only a couple of spaces on both of them. If you're interested, again, it's all available across www.daniellehappymedium.com. So any more questions from you lovely lot this evening? If not, and you are all happy, I'll leave it at that for this evening, and we can certainly come back next week. I'll be back next Thursday, so I'm going to be here every Thursday night from here on in at 7:30 p.m. GMT time. Obviously, is the UK moves into British summertime around about March, April time. That will change also. For anybody who's interested in following us via Facebook, you will be starting to see some different things in the room next week, so I'm very excited for that. But you can also get us via Facebook. Also, you can get us on Instagram. Also, you can also check out the school. The school is multifaceted now, so we have elements of not only the school in person, but also the school in regards to online, which is the academy. So you have the academy and the school as well. We take students from all over the world. It's not just dedicated to the UK students. We have slots open for all of the international students as well, and we have international sharing of knowledge individuals who will be joining me this year as well, coming in from different parts of the world. So I'm very excited. As long as Miss Corvett plays ball, we'll be doing well. So I'm going to leave that with you lot for this evening. It's a pleasure as always to have you here with me. Please do like this video. Please do share with friends. Tell them about the channel. I'm sure they'll come along and support it. And I want to thank you for your energy, your time, your questions. I hope it's been of some help to you all. And I'll certainly see you all next week. Have a great evening, day, wherever you are in the world. Ooh, I'll watch the next one too. Thank you for sharing. It's not a problem, Sue. Have a great evening, wherever you are in the world. A great day, and I will see you all next Thursday. Big kisses, big hugs. Bye for now. Bye, everybody.